Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day here in Ontario, Canada, and you're here with Spirit Sessions, A View of the Light. And it's episode 23 for us. Please like and share this episode out. Share it out to all your friends. It's a really important one. It's Pride Month, I believe, and it's a really well, there are no coincidences. Let's just say that. We have a very special guest with us, Candace Winters, and she's going to talk about her story today. And she really helped Teresa with her son and his transition. And so we just want, it's very important. It's very important for friends and parents to hear this story. So please share it out to your friends. And the winner of this share this week wins a session with Bex Marie.
Yep.
Yay. So, and later on we'll tell you who won last week's share out. So just waiting to make it going live. So before we start, and yay. Okay. So we're live. Teresa, can you introduce our special guest, Candace, today?
Okay, well, truthfully, I forgot all about the bio, and so I'm not going to sit here and read a bio to you all. I'm going to tell you about Candace from my heart. That's going to be a good bio in itself, Candace. So there I was. I knew my daughter was gay. I handled that for 5 years, and I thought I was a great mom, and I could do all that. Then it came to the point where she was telling me that she felt invisible because I was not calling her by the male name that she picked out or by male nouns. And now all of a sudden that brought all kinds of loss to me. It's like, what happened? I had a baby girl. I know it. I saw the sonogram pictures. I was there. I changed the diapers. That was my baby girl. I went through grief, and I thought the main thing is I got to support him. I got to support him. So I was going through that, and right then I was at that stage, and then an angel came into my life, and her name is Candace Winters Johnson, and she came to my home here in Tennessee, and she has a book. I packed it away. Do you have your book handy? I've been packing, and so I packed it. She has a book that really should have taken me 30 minutes to read, but I'm crying between every other sentence. I'm crying my heart out. I did need support. Candace brought me the support and showed me that I, too, needed support in this. Not just that I'm supporting my son now, but I had right to grieve the loss of having a daughter. I had the right to wonder, how am I going to shift into this appreciating him as a son now? And there was Candace. Half of her book is written for the moms or the parents or friends going through this, and the other half is written by her son, Damien, for all the young ones going through this. And together, that one book is so supportive. Since then, Candace has been amazing. I even get chills talking about it. She's been an activist for the community, and she's been out there. She's been giving public speeches at different places, all called upon, which is good news. It's becoming more accepted, and more people want to know and understand. So, Candace, welcome to our show. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I really, truly appreciate it, especially because it is a new age. I'm not sure what the newest term is, or metaphysical, spiritual platform. And I really, really appreciate it even more because while a lot of times we feel we're so enlightened in this community and we're always seeking and searching, and then life has a way of coming around and surprising us and biting us right in the bum. And going, hey, you thought you had it all together. I got another surprise for you.
That's it.
You had a daughter, now you have a son. Now what are you going to do? And that was, it started, Damien, who was then born Peyton, started his transition about 4 years ago. And while there were a few books and things like that, there was nothing that I found at the time that addressed my feelings. And it's hard not to, as parents, especially moms, our identity ends up being wrapped up in our children.
Yes.
And
For sure.
it's hard to separate, like, oh my gosh, this is all my identity. And I've poured all of this into what I thought it was going to be. And while I'm trying to do that as best I can, I'm still feeling all these feelings. And now I feel like a bad parent because I feel a little selfish of, well, what about me? Well, how do I navigate supporting my kid, but also mourning a child? And so that was the biggest thing that I really realized, is that I don't have anything I can read that addresses that I found at the time. There might have been. But I really just felt like I've got to figure out a way to get this information, because I'm a researcher. So I started looking everything I could find to support it and to figure out the best way to handle it. But also while going, honey, we'll figure it out. I love you. Let's do this. And then going and crying in the shower, ugly crying, and trying not to show those feelings of mourning and grief because they have so much on their shoulders already. And so that's kind of where the book came from, is that I needed to hear from a friend, yes, you are going to feel sad. You might feel sad in 20 years after your grown child who's transitioned has their own family and grandkids or whatever. And that is a continuing process. And so that's really where the book idea came from, is like, I really feel I need to let people know how I'm feeling, because I can't be the only one.
Amazing.
And obviously you weren't, because Teresa and Anthony took such joy, like such solace and such understanding from your book. It made a lot of difference, didn't it, Teresa?
It did. And I wanted to say also having supportive friends like you and Bex, because I didn't even know what to think, except, oh yeah, send the support, right? We're just so automatically trained to go outside instead of taking care of ourselves within. And so that was so beautiful. And Candace even came all the way to my house, and we had tacos and everything. And so Candace is such a bundle of unconditional love. And that's what we need to show for these people. There's no reason to shut them out of our lives. They're just like us, just different. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, what are his speeches when they're asking for you to give speeches, Candace? What is the communities wanting? What are the communities wanting from you?
Well, I think I'm also a member of a couple of different parent groups called Free Mom Hugs and Mama Bears, where there's something happening collectively to humanity with all of these children and people coming out going, well, I'm gender non-conforming, or I don't feel like either gender, either male or female. I'm kind of in the middle. And it's happening on such a mass scale. Something's happening collectively. And whereas, because a lot of them come from, especially here in the Bible Belt, a conservative background, deeply, deeply religious roots, and then all of a sudden they realize, I didn't raise my kid that way, but I've been spewing this hate against the transgender and LGBTQ community all my life, trying to change them. And I did not raise my kid that way. What do I do with this now? I have to rethink everything about this religion or this path I have with God, because I feel like I've been lied to by the church. And so how do I unpack it? Well, the thing about that is that when they start to unpack and go, well, I know I love my kid, and maybe I'm wrong about this. And that's where the beginning of growth is. Well, maybe I don't know everything. And so I've got to love my child. Let's figure it out. And with that being said, it's happening so much with so many children coming forward that the moms and a lot of the dads too are coming forward to step up and speak out and protect them and advocate for them and speak to the legislative,
Yes.
The House
Wow.
Judiciary Committee and those types of things, because my feeling is that, excuse me, they have to live it. I feel like it's our job as a parent to go out and advocate for the rule changes and the things that is going to make our lives better, their lives better, actually. And so it's hard enough for them to just get up and think about it all day long because they're pummeled with it. I feel like it's our job to advocate. And with that being said, when I'm asked to speak and I put this book out, is let people know where we stand and how I feel. And mostly it's just about saying, hey, we're here. We've got your back. And if we need to, we'll step in front of you too. The dogs may bark in a minute. It sounds like Damien's coming in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I just go out and say, I love you. And people can hate you for no reason. And I can love you for not knowing you too. And show love and compassion and tell you that you matter. And the hate that you're hearing isn't true. It's not valid, but you are. And that's basically most of it. What I've been asked to speak about is just showing love and affirmation as a parent.
Thank you. Thank you for being you and what you do. I truly love all that. Is there any other questions? I mean, I have a bunch, but do you guys else have any?
I just wanted to say that I love how you use the term unpacking because it's so much, it just allows more. It allows more adjustment, more, sitting with it. It doesn't, we tend to say face things a lot or just confront them, and that's just so aggressive. But unpacking is really just allowing yourself to move through it. So I just thought that was really important because, it definitely shifts the perspective on it.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, we did want to have Damien pop his head in right quick. He's on lunch break.
All right. Hi, Damien. I appreciate you. I'm Teresa. There's Bex and Rhonda, and we're so glad to meet you. You and your mother have been such a big help to me and my son as I'm getting used to all this. I wanted to be perfect at it, but I wasn't, and so I appreciate the book you guys wrote, and I thank you. Thank you for being here on your lunch break too. So what can you say? We have a vast audience, and many of them couldn't wait for the show. What would you like? What needs to be heard by the people right now?
There's a lot to say. I mean, I guess that there can never be enough education and knowledge to be spread about the topic because we keep finding out more and more about trans people and just non-binary people in general. So I just feel like if we all stay educated on the entire topic and keep learning, people are scared. People get scared about things that they don't understand or know about. So if we stay on top of things and approach people with love and understanding, then I feel like we'd be able to open up their minds as well. So just being understanding that they don't really know what's going on, they don't understand it, but if we're just patient, educate them, I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, lots of love both ways, huh?
At the end of the day, we're just all people, right? We're just all people. We eat, we sleep, we're just all people. We have the same desires to be loved and accepted. It doesn't matter what gender we are or if we're binary. I mean, we're all the same people. I guess that's whether we're black, white, color, it wasn't too long ago that we didn't like people of color. We didn't accept women as humans. It's all from fear, and I think you're right. It's all fear of the unknown, and
it's time for a change. Time to make it known.
That's
Bring it forward.
You just want to succeed in this life as you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the big topic of right now.
How can we help support more? How can we bring more support to the community?
Well, showing up to speeches and rallies for sure, or protests even. because those matter, especially right now, Tennessee for sure.
Right.
I'd say as well as researching, because that's exactly how Mom found out about trans, period. She did research. Yeah, she did research.
Right. It's beautiful.
Nancy Louise, one of our regular watchers, is saying, I'm learning so much more all the time, and I have to Google stuff on a regular basis. Because, we're old. We weren't taught any of this stuff. We didn't even know this stuff existed when we were younger. I mean, didn't have a clue, right? Didn't have a clue.
I didn't even know
exactly.
Yeah, I didn't even know. That must have been a real shock. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
How amazing. But look at how beautifully you've transitioned. So beautifully. How much of your life do you get to be who you really feel you are versus being reminded of that? You know what I mean? How much do you really, are you living your dream yet? I mean, what's the better way to say this, you guys?
Do you get to be your authentic self?
Are you comfortable in your own skin yet? Is that what they're asking?
Yeah.
Absolutely. As Peyton, I just at one point accepted the fact that I was just not going to be happy. So, with like my hair was a big thing. I always wore it in a ponytail. It never came down. Never. I don't even think when I showered.
I would make you, and then
you would
comb
make
it
me.
out.
Yeah, as gross as it sounds, I was just uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable with my hair, and when I decided to cut it in 2015, that just like everything changed. That's when the word transgender started coming up, and that's when that's when all the steps started falling into place. But yes, I am so comfortable in my body than I ever have before.
And I guess your mom figured it out before you did, didn't she? That's kind of odd. That's kind of I shouldn't say it's odd. It's kind of different from other stories I've heard from other of my friends.
Yeah,
but
that is like one thing about our story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd like to say hi. Damien, this is Anthony.
Hi.
Anthony, there's Damien, Candace's son. Okay, thank you. So here's the next thing I'm wondering about. Now that you've come through so far and you've pioneered so much, what advice to young people would you give? Anthony still gets on the bus and they're saying, oh, it's supposed to be Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. I mean, where we at the Bible Belt here, they've always got these comments. How did you get through, or how are you getting through that?
What I do typically, like at work, I've run into people who don't understand it or never heard of it. There's actually someone I worked with who was from China, and she didn't speak very much English, but she was such an amazing person. I put it in simple terms, and all she did was okay. Like it's not,
Wow.
She's never heard of it, and I introduced it to her, and she was like, okay, what's the big deal? But
I love that.
A lot of times what I'll do is not tell anybody I'm trans, because for one, it's not their business, and two, I want them to get to know me. I want them to get to know Damien, before they judge just because I'm transgender. So, and that's actually worked on most of the people I work with, people I felt comfortable coming out to. Tomorrow I'm actually going on vacation with one of my coworkers. He's just, it's just, we're guys now. So that's what I do. I let them get to know me first, and then I come out if I feel comfortable with it. That's how I deal with it.
It's beautiful. I love that. I feel the love. I feel the education. I feel that I can even change my prayers in such a way to not just protect like you and Anthony, but also to help the people come to understanding, because in their hearts we're all the same. And so of course, and I love that how you and your mom really share that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, and then my coworker, he asked a lot of questions, after I came out. he didn't really understand a lot of it, and I think that's also what is important. Even if they're uncomfortable questions, I am a very open person anyway, so if they have questions, answer them. Like, I feel that is so important, answering the questions, because how are they going to know if you don't answer them? Yes, they may be uncomfortable at times, but it's important, you know.
Yes.
I mean, they must have a little bit of bravery to even ask you, and so they're showing an interest in you. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's none of their business, but if you're at that level of friendship, then it's something you'd ask your friend, maybe more likely.
And the opposite of fear is always education, isn't it? Getting to know what you're fearing so much. So I love that. That's beautiful.
So, how about your mom and in this book? Like, tell us about this book and your mom. Like, what did you think about it, and how much did you help her on it?
Well, while Mom was writing it, it was on and off for about 4 years, and I knew a little bit about it being written, but I wasn't heavily involved, mainly because I was dealing with other things like my father. I just didn't really, it wasn't on my mind as much. And so when she was like, hey, I'm going to write this book, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's good. I brushed it off because I was like, everyone writes a book, like, who's going to read that? But I didn't tell her. So I was like, yeah, okay, cool, that's like really good for you, Mom. And then when it started getting attention and people actually were interested, I was like, whoa, I think I should be more involved. And that's when I put my 2 cents in and improved it as well. But I wasn't very involved in the beginning, that's for sure. But I am heavily involved. It's important. I didn't realize that people cared. That was my big thing. I didn't think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Anthony and his friends have read it, and they wanted to refer it to a teacher, but we didn't get it there in time. The teacher, was there and like that kind of education. So, yeah, I love it. Thank you.
I think it's something that all schools should have, absolutely, like to help the, students understand better. It would be amazing if it was just a book that everybody
should get that in
the
every
guidance
school.
counselor had or whatever. Yeah, that would be really powerful.
Because I think it's
because
from both perspectives makes it,
Yeah.
from both perspectives makes it super special. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That would be, yeah. So I think that's
And it's all there. You don't have to buy a separate book. It's just all there.
Yeah.
And I think people can get more empathic with what you were going through because from your perspective, because, when you're heterosexual female, like, okay, yeah, you just have to deal with the men shit that you have to deal with, but you don't have to deal with everything else. Sorry. But, well, because, I come from an age where I was expected to be a housewife, so, not expected to work.
We've come a long way, yeah.
We have come along. Still don't get paid, only 75% as much as a man, but that's, we're getting there. But, so I can empathize with the struggle. And then to have this on top of everything else, my heart breaks having 2 kids, and I just, like I say, thank God they got through their bullying for just being a little different, This would be so hard. How were your school kids? How were the classmates? How did that happen? How did that go for you?
Well, honestly, when I went to Hickman County, it was okay, for the most part, because I already had friends who were amazing, and so they automatically accepted me. When I came out as lesbian, they were like, okay, cool, that's great. And then the whole transgender thing happened. They were like, okay, cool, whatever. What do you want us to call you? They were very understanding. They didn't ask questions. They just loved me. And
wonderful.
I mean, and not a lot of people are lucky like that, but I got very lucky, and I still talk to most of them. But then Mom met Mike, and I had the opportunity to go to a better school for better education because Hickman County isn't really in that place. So
Right.
I went to independent, and I was in JRTC, and they had this summer thing called JCLC, and it's like this leadership challenge. And I was in the girls' barracks, and people were confused, but I came out to them, and they were like, "Okay, cool." And I met these people, these girls from Independence, and we were jokingly saying, "Hey, you should totally move, up to our school." And we're both thinking that's not gonna happen, but we're joking about it. Well, I show up in August, and they're like, "Okay, whoa, you didn't have to actually do that." And I was like, "Well, it just turned out that way." And Independence was perfect timing because that's when I was starting to transition to Damien. So I was like starting fresh. No one knew me as Peyton. No one knew my background. I was looking more and more like a male, and it was just like the timing was phenomenal. So, but I came out to people I felt comfortable with, and I actually met a few other trans people, and yeah, it was good.
Oh, that is beautiful. I love that journey. That's beautiful.
Do you think there are more trans people coming out because it's safer for them to do so now? Or do you think something's changing?
I think it's both. I think our generation is just being more open, honestly, because older generations they're set in their ways, they're not really as apt to open their mind. And so I feel like it has a little bit of both,
Heard people say that, like, you can't expect me to call them something different. That's what I see, or, things like that. And it gets really challenging because it happens, you can be identified as anything and you want to drop that identity and people don't want to change with that. They don't want to release that. So it just speaks a lot about them. It never speaks about you. It's always about them and their ability to.
Right. That's right, Bex.
But I just want to thank you for, being here and how brave you are, to be able to come and just show up as you. And I mean, even we struggle with that, just showing up as ourselves, being authentic. We're learning how to do that. And you do that every single day. So I just want to tell you that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay, is there any more questions from the audience or comments?
Okay,
I saw somebody ask where to get more information. How can they?
So I put Candace's book in the comments there. So because I think she has a lot of resources in there too, and so it's a good place to start from. Yeah, so you can come in there and yeah, I was just looking up. So that was Carla. So
my copy was autographed by both of them. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Great. So do you need to sit down in the interview, or do you have a certain amount of time?
Well, we've got a few more minutes, and then Candace, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Candace, you could talk about your oh my God, BQ8. There, I got it.
Yeah, that is it's my spiritual business. It is a hypnosis and like a past lives, higher self spiritual business where I practice quantum healing, kind of a Dolores Cannon. I'm having to switch from my book Arthur mode to that mode. Dolores Cannon started a business where she would put people into like a relaxed meditation, guided meditation, relaxed state, and whatever energy would come through and information would come through, they considered it just to be from the higher self. Well, more and more, I don't want to say entities at all. It's not that, but personalities or past lives experience, lots of different things were coming through, and they weren't acknowledging anything but the higher self. They would say, oh, it's not true, that's real, they're making it up. And from my understanding of what Dolores Cannon's practice was about. And so the lady who started BQH, she felt that this was happening more and more in her clientele, that after Dolores Cannon's passing, she felt like we were limiting ourselves in the ability to help our clientele, and she changed from quantum healing hypnosis therapy, which is Dolores Cannon's baby, if you will, to beyond quantum healing, which brings in all whatever energy comes through the client or information. And also the practitioner brings all their gifts, their psychic abilities, their intuition, Reiki, crystals, essential oils, and you bring everything, all the tools you have in your tool belt to the session, and you can help them with everything that you can bring at it. And so that's the difference between quantum healing and beyond quantum healing. And that's what I practice.
She did this on me. It was fun. It was so fun.
Cool.
Yeah, so relaxing too.
So, and I put up your website for that as well. So your website for that as well is up there.
Thank you so much. I do want to say, I don't know how much time we have left, but I do want to say that going back to what I'm experiencing as speaking in regards to the transgender and the LGBTQ community, the level of hate that is in pockets that's being leveled at the people who are trying to support and love this community has been mind-blowing. And it's almost, I don't know if you've heard the Westboro Baptist Church, that level of hate that I was able to speak at a Pride festival yesterday, and they've got bullhorns, and they're allowed to walk around people, and they're screaming at children through a bullhorn, Jesus and the hate that's leveled at them. And I've seen a lot of shit, and that really astounded me. And
wow. Yeah.
This community just stands there in solidarity and listens to all this be pummeled at them. And I was so blown away. And I couldn't have been prouder, like a proud mom, of them just standing there and putting up their shield up. Now, it starts to penetrate, but just how those people in this community are so brave, and they're so strong. And if you meet anyone going through any of this, or you just meet someone who's in that community, ask them if you can give them a hug or a high five, because the things that they're continuously pummeled with, even if they're not at a Pride rally being their authentic self, I just needed them to know yesterday, do not listen to those lies. That garment of hate is heavy, and it's too much for us to carry around. Drop it like you would a bad outfit or a heavy jacket in the summer. Just drop it and don't let it roll off if you can. But I couldn't have been prouder of my husband, who was standing next to a drag queen, and they were holding up this heavy tarp to kind of drown out the bullhorn to protect the community, if you will. And this guy with a bullhorn's just shouting at her in her face, telling her she's ugly, she's a guy in a dress, just ugly, ugly things. That's the clean stuff. And he stepped in front of her and let it hit him. And I don't know that I could have ever been more in love and proud of that man. So,
I saw that picture. Yeah, that was beautiful. Because,
and people say,
if they really... Go ahead,
Teresa. No, go ahead.
I was going to say that if people would really, really actually emulate the prophets that they listen to, Jesus taught about love, and he taught about unconditional love. All this other stuff is extra and not what he taught. Same with the Buddha, same with Mahatma Gandhi, everybody, all these people. Muhammad, they taught love. Let's get back to what they taught and emulate it in our lives. All of us. It's time. That's all. Go ahead, Rhonda.
You hear the people going, well, why do they need pride parades? Why are they doing this? Why are they throwing it in our face? You know why? Because they're proud finally that they're who they are, and they don't have to hide any longer. We can walk around and be who we are and not worry about it. And like, what are you going to have an old white man's parade? Like, what would be the point? They walk around and be who they are.
Exactly.
So
they're not. by that. You have privilege.
And yeah,
Yes.
and they don't understand the whole thing about being pride is so many are killing themselves, and so much suicide in that community
And there's
because
no
they feel
reason.
so
It's
ashamed
so
of who they
sad.
are. So that's
Yeah.
why the pride is so important.
That's love.
That's
Yes,
why it's so
absolutely.
important.
Yes. At my daughter's school, it became the rainbow flag versus the Confederate flag. And they're not supposed to have flags at school, but suddenly it became, everybody says, well, they get to wear their rainbow. Why don't we get to wear our Confederate and stuff? And so it's like, as a mom, I was so scared. But you know what? It really all turned out fine. And like Damien and you keep telling us, everybody just needs to be educated and stuff. It's not a us versus them or something. You know what I mean? We're all in this together.
Yep. We don't get out of here alive.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
noticed
not one of us.
the ones who were refusing to be educated, like the legislative people, the representatives that I spoke in front of, they weren't interested in the science. They're so scared of letting go. Yes, they may have built their life in this church and go, oh my gosh, I've built my whole life on this. And instead of going, you know what? It's never too late until you're in the grave to change your life and to build a new one and to build a better life. They're so scared of realizing I might have built my life and wasted it on this level of hate. They're so scared of change. And it's still the fear that they don't want to address it. They don't want to be wrong. And so
And
I
fear
can't
is the opposite of love, not hate.
Yeah.
Fear is the opposite of love.
You know what? May their lives be blessed with people of all walks of life that can help them grow and evolve.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it comes
right.
down to. And at some point, I look forward to the day when the freedom of speech does not come before the freedom to be who you are. You know, we've got to stop putting freedom of speech before everything else. We don't have the right to walk around and call people things that we don't, you know, because we don't understand.
Exactly right.
Trash them or verbally abuse them. How is that okay? You know, I don't, but it's coming. You know, we're all here. We're all holding space. We're shifting things together. And for you, Candace, to be out in the forefront of this and helping others and holding space, and, you know, that's powerful. And thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I don't know how to not be another stubborn mama bear. I don't know how to.
You're amazing.
That's okay.
I love that.
I do want to read one little thank you, guys, before we finish. This is at the beginning of the book, and it says gender dysphoria. Dysphoria is derived from a Greek word meaning hard to bear. And that sums up all of it.
It's true.
Of what they're going through.
And remind everyone, too, that they're not making a choice to be this way. Remind them of that point. It's not. You get tested.
They try so hard to fit in because it's way easier to be able to fit into the body that you're assigned at birth. It's way easier to do those things. If I had a choice, if we'd had a choice in this, he would choose to be who he was assigned at birth. I would have had a daughter still. And so it was way easier to do it the other way. But the brain does not work that way in the transgender and non-conforming, non-binary people. It does not work that way. I wish it did. We really do wish it did.
Right.
It's
and like the MRI would tell you.
It's right. It's actually like trying to present you're left-handed or right-handed. If you've tried to use your non-dominant hand, even as a little kid, they used to switch them and smack their hands and say, oh, that's bad. That's evil. You don't want to do
I've been through that.
Even in my own lifetime. And I'm not even 50 yet. And so I have a little brother in my family who they tried to change his dominant hand because left was bad. Even in that time, it still feels weird if you try to use your non-dominant hand. And so it's just as simple as that.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much for the book and for coming on and for being a tough mama bear. And thank you.
And blessed that Damien got to show up. Thank you.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, you can go on our website. It's auntdelicious.publishing.org, and it helps a little easier to remember because my nieces and nephews used to call me Aunt Candy, and my little nephew's like, Aunt Candy, she sounds delicious. And so it became.
Oh, that's
It
cute.
makes it easy to remember
That's
that way.
so
So
sweet.
it became
I love that.
intuition.
So if you guys have any
That's
questions
easy. I love it.
for Candace, write them up, and she can answer your comments directly too in this chat. So
Absolutely, I'll be happy to answer
Get
any
the support
questions.
you need so that you can be the support you want to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget, as a parent,
Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah.
Yes.
To find your own education as well. Don't forget you.
Yes, absolutely. Sport is so important for everybody. All right, is it announcement time? It is, right? All right, so
Yes.
for those of you who shared out last week's episode with Monica Morani, which was amazing, talking about Lemuria and the women of Lemuria. Oh, such a powerful show. The one who shared out the most was Caprina Amansek Fernandez. I hope I didn't butcher that too bad. And you win a reading with Rhonda. So Rhonda will reach out to you.
I'll get to learn your real name.
Right. I'm sure it's not what I said, but it was a good attempt.
That's way better than me.
Whoever shows up this week is going to win a mini reading with me, which is super fun. It's a 20-minute mini reading, so make sure you share this out, get the information out, and there's so many people that we don't even know would benefit from this right now that are still going through the internal battle, the internal conflict, and just trying to figure out who they are. So share it out. Even if you feel like, you're not sure if somebody would appreciate it, just share it out everywhere, because we're all in this together, celebrating each other, walking each other through this journey. And the more support, the better. So, we're holding space for everyone who's going through this right now. After this, on the Akashic Academy page this evening is the Cosmic Ascension Report with Janelle Cameron. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Then tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific is Beauty at the Heart with Sarah Lillian. At 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific is Nourishing Your Multidimensional Body with Kathy Halbrooks. And then tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific is Let's Tap with Suzanne Gunderson. We also have the free Akashic Academy magazine. You can check that out. It's a free download at www.theakashicacademy.com. And we also have the Inside group. That is a subscription-only group. And for that subscription, you get a Mindful Monday with Coach Nick. You get intuitive classes with Emily once a week. You get new moon and full moon ceremonies. You get an awesome soul tribe and support group that can help you with whatever you need on your ascension. We're all, like I said, all walking through this together. And that is $44.44. But if you want to get a special deal, you can message Rhonda, Teresa, or I, and we will be happy to hook you up with a special limited time only. It's a really good deal. So if you want to check it out,
Totally.
one of us know, and we will hook you up. I think that's everything. Is there anything I missed? I think that's all of it.
I think you did. Good.
Awesome.
Sounds right.
Happy Pride Month, everybody. Happy Pride about just being who we are and celebrating everybody. Doesn't matter what color, what race, gender, what species. Let's just celebrate everybody.
Yeah.
We're all on this planet, and we all got to survive it. So let's make it easy.
Absolutely.
The oneness.
Let's help each other.
Yes.
Blessings.
I love that.
Thanks.
Namaste.
All right, have a blessed week. We love you. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you so much, lady. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.